All right, question number one out of the gate here is how much protein can throw you off the sugar diet?
Okay, this is gonna be so right off the bat. I've done so much experimentation in the past with all the fasting. And, I've done like routines where I did like 3 meals a week for 21 days. I've done, a meal a day on 48 hours with like actual 0 calorie fast. So you do not need to eat meat every day. Soon as people get over that fear, okay, that fear of, oh, I need all this protein every day and that muscle loss phobia, the sky is the limit to how much weight you can lose. That's when you start applying these sugar fasting days that we'll get into. And once you do that, you have full control of that weight loss. It makes it a joke. I haven't ate any meat right now for 4 days. I've done and it's nothing new. Like there's people that have done, straight fruit and juice for 100 days in a row, right? So like you just don't need it every day, and especially when you're doing like the carbs via sucrose, right? So that sugar fasting, you definitely want to cut the starch. You get the best results with the fructose, right? Everyone's scared to death of the fructose. The sucrose is basically 50-50 fructose glucose. And that's what really ramps up that metabolism, ramps up the liver and makes you like, that's what really cuts that body fat. A big part of that too is because you actually don't need hardly any insulin to drive that fructose into the liver to give you crazy energy. So a lot of these fat people that are coming off a bunch of low carb dieting and they're insulin resistant as all hell, they can get crazy energy right away from that fructose sugar versus the starch, like versus the pure glucose.
Does someone with insulin resistance and someone who's just, let's just say fat, because not everybody even knows if they're insulin resistant, and maybe somebody who's experiencing a little bit of like low blood sugar, should that person maybe stick to fruit and fruit juice a little bit more so than like messing around with candy or anything else?
Yeah, so like really you still want to base it around whole foods, right? So I always like the focus is weight loss, so I'm always trying to get people like, is the scale dropping? Is the scale dropping? So even right now, I've been talking about the sugar fasting. So my goal right now is to get people to beat that fear of cutting the meat right out. So what I tell them to do, and I'll tell you my exact routine even for a lot of guys, but what I tell them to do right off the bat, if you get this weight loss weapon in your back pocket, you will never, ever, ever get fat ever again, and you'll never gain weight back. You want to get through as many days in a row on straight sugar calories via fruit, juice. So, some of the people, if you're losing weight like crazy, some of the wet fruit it'll be too diluted. There's too much fluid. And that's when you could throw in some hard hitting sugar sources, like you sweeten your fruit up with table sugar, add in some honey, or even take care of your teeth when you're pissing around with like the zero fat candy or the pop because of citric acid. But you could throw a bottle of orange crush in at night if you have a craving. And the goal is, though, I keep telling people, because people are still trying to restrict so bad, and people think they have a calorie count in their head that they know what their maintenance is. It changes. Once you get doing this, your calorie output is ludicrously higher. Ludicrous. So I tell them, just focus on the days in the row on the sugar fasting. Get rid of all that fear. Now you have this tool. And then, like, for a guy like yourself, because we were talking in the past about just yanking the fat right down every single day, like 7 days a week. Well, this allows you, once you're getting lean, to have these loose days. Like you could have your meat day, which would still be a low fat, clean meat day, like your regular lean meat, fruit, starch, vegetables. But then you could have your dirty day. Like you might go out with your wife and you might want to have your tomahawk, or your fucking ribeye with potatoes and butter and shit. And it's fine because you have that dirty day, you weigh yourself, you use the scale. People keep running from the damn scale. You just log the weight, and maybe that's a Friday, right? You go out for dinner with your wife, you have whatever the hell you want. Saturday, you jump on that sugar fast, and then Sunday morning, you might be reset already. Where I used to promote like 0 calorie fasting, which is difficult as all hell. You throw that sugar day in there on Saturday, take a look at the scale Sunday morning. Maybe you're still a little high. Like a guy like you, probably 48 hours on the sugar will bring you right back to what you were when you had that dirty Friday. And you can even make an argument that having that dirty Friday like that's probably beneficial, hitting that. That makes really good sense, to be honest.
I was going to say it's also real time. Sometimes when you're trying keto, and you know this, and when you're fasting and doing all these different things, it's kind of like a guess. Like I have a good idea of what my body weight is most of the time, but I got to be honest, sometimes when I was doing some of those other diets, I would think in my head, oh, I probably weighed this in accordance to what I ate the last couple days, and I would be a little bit off each time. And I was always like, what the hell's going on here? And with this diet, I've never noticed this before with any other diet. With this diet in particular, when you do it, and if you do it strict and you mainly just have fruit, go through a whole day with just fruit, the scale will most likely be less the next day, unless I guess unless
Exactly.
you somehow overate fruit, which is like nearly impossible.
Like for a guy like yourself, like if you're trying to get really lean, you just do those fruit days until you see a new low. Straight up. You just like that's you just keep doing those fruit days till you see a new low on the scale. And once you're looking in the mirror and and you're like, holy shit, I'm getting like lean here now, then you just add in more meat days. You add in, so that's what it would look like once you get lean. You'd maybe be eating meat. You use the scale to adjust, but you just use those sugar days to control the scale perfectly. And then you could have a dirty day once in a while. Like the adherence and the flexibility is unmatched by anything. Like because as long as as long as you have developed the balls to do those sugar days, that's why when you watched my video the other day, because I was saying to people like, if you can get through a 72-hour sugar fast minimum, and some of these fat people, they could do like 30 days, 60 days. Like it's been done. This is nothing new. Like all these juice fasting people, I've seen guys. There's one guy I seen that did 100 days on juice, lost 110 pounds. And it's
Mm.
funny because you actually end up losing more weight on the sugar than you would on a 0-calorie fast, because your metabolism's so quick that you don't hit a wall on the 0-calorie fast. And it's easy. It's easy. You just keep losing. You'll just go all the way to the end. There's no stall. Like all these
70
people that stall, sit there.
72-hour fast. I mean, just to keep it really simple, 72-hour sugar fast, rather, you could literally do 72-hour sugar fast, come off of it for a day, 72-hour sugar fast, just keep running that same play over and over again. Maybe do like 10 bouts of that and see where the hell you end up at the end of that.
Yeah, and the super fat people, heck, they could do like I just did 7 days. Like I've been putting my body to the test on this, and it's not even an issue for me because I've done like 15 days with no food in the past and 7-day dry fast. I did 10 days on water and snake juice, salt, and then 5 days dry, like crazy
Shit.
stuff. So I'm already not fearful of any of the dogma with the muscle loss and all that shit because I've done such hardcore 0-calorie fasting. And you know what the funniest part is I'm running into? I got people they're more scared of muscle loss, pounding in sugar for multiple days in a row than they were on a 0-calorie fast. Because all these guys that were all these fasting zealots, like even myself, the muscle loss is still very minimal on like a 72-hour 0-calorie fast. They're more scared to eat sugar than they are to do an actual 0-calorie fast. It's insane.
If somebody is feeling like hypo from ingesting maybe too many carbs or something, I'd imagine someone's just like blasting a ton of candy and then sitting on the couch. But what are some recommendations? Because I had a few questions come in for that.
Yeah, that's a good question because a lot of people, it's going to take a little bit for their body to level out. But obviously, don't eat like pure sugar, no fat, and don't be. See, a lot of these people are still restricting. They need to get it in. They need to just get more in. If your blood sugar, and are they actually hypo, or is it just they're just so used to having a crazy high blood sugar, right? Because they might actually be like not even in a bad blood sugar range on the low end.
They might be, yeah. Well, high blood sugar and low blood sugar feel pretty much identical, so it's hard to
Yeah,
identify unless you
because
prick your finger.
if their blood sugar drops into the threes, it's like whatever. Just get more in. Usually that's the problem right now. And then you take the fat and the protein out, and you tell your body basically, "Fuck you, body. You're running on sugar," and that's why you do not want to restrict. You want to, and like my breakfast this morning, yesterday is a good example of a day for me. Just so I'm 106. I'm 164 pounds. I'm 5'7". And yesterday I had 1,400 calories for breakfast. I literally had a liter of orange juice. I ate a jar of strawberry jam, the whole jar. And then I had another like 200 calories of like a green smoothie. And then I went all day on that. And then for dinner last night, I had 2 cans of peaches, which are 500 calories a pop. I had 2 cans of beets, which is a little like, that's a little heartier. I had a can of tomatoes, and then I slugged back some more of that green smoothie. I was like at 3,000 calorie yesterday, but I forced that in. If I wouldn't have forced that meal a little bit at night, I would have been like, 2,600. I would have been just losing weight again too quick
Just taking
on that
giant
one.
shits. Taking
What's
giant
that?
shits when you eat like that.
Get the shits.
Are you taking giant shits when you eat that much
Well, in
food?
the morning, I always go in the morning. Usually in the morning, I'll slam that orange juice like pretty much clockwork, and then I'll go to the gym. I'll go to the gym and use destroy their plumbing at the gym.